Birtles.
Here.
Sanderson.
Here.
Ahart.
Here.
Bauer.
Here.
Brighthand.
Here.
Carver. Here. Beatty.
Here. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight, school board meeting. At this time, would you please stand for the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the November 10th, 2025 special agenda as it has been presented this evening.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
second?
Second.
Okay. Carrie, please call the roll.
Brighthand.
Yes.
Sanderson.
Yes.
Birtles.
Yes.
Ahart.
Yes.
Bauer.
Yes.
Carver.
Yes.
Beatty.
Yes. Dr. Duncan, open this evening's meeting with some shout-outs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Beatty. As I said in the last board meeting, I really wanted to make an effort to recognize the staff across the district because we have so many amazing things that's happening. And so I asked community members to send me an email if there's anything they want to highlight, and they came in rapidly. So we got a nice little selection of superintendent shout-outs today. The first one, we want to start with Mrs. Ashley Wall. She's assistant principal at Liberty Middle School, and Mrs. Jana Hunt, she's a school counselor. According to this parent, Mrs. Walsh and Mrs. Hunt have gone above and beyond in helping a student at Liberty through a health challenge. They're always willing to listen and to her needs and help her find the solutions. Thank you, Mrs. Walsh and Mrs. Hunt, for all that you do for the students at Liberty. The next one is Mrs. Tiffany McBride. This parent, this is a direct quote, "My son has gotten great scores on homework assignments, but has been having some trouble translating that into high test and quiz scores. I set up a parent-teacher conference with Mrs. McBride, hoping to get a little insight into this. She immediately understood the situation and offered a concrete solution. It was obvious that she had encountered this before and took the necessary steps to help my son do better. She genuinely wants her students to succeed and to do their absolute best. It was also apparent in our conversation that she knew her students very well and truly enjoys being a teacher. She sees the big picture and is an integral part of the District 7 family. Mrs. McBride, thank you for all that you do, and I really appreciate that you made this lady's son feel special and feel seen. That is a big deal in teaching, and it was very evident in your conversations with her."
All right.
Many people across the district will recognize Mr. Dave Hanson. He's our mail guy, but he also used to be the custodian at Nelson. This parent wanted to reach out to give a shout out to the district mail delivery person. We know him as Mr. Dave, former Nelson custodian at our house. Mr. Dave is such an asset to the district and serves every building in District 7. He always has a smile on his face and spring in his step. He still remembers his former Nelson students by name, even though they're high schoolers now. He gives 110% at every task he's given, and he goes above and beyond. Thank you, Mr. Dave.
All right, Mr. Dave.
This one goes out to the high school team, Ms. Candace Watts, Rhonda Rankin, and Christina Winfield. I want to say how much I appreciate the way your recent 504 meeting was handled. Having had many 504 and IEP meetings across my time as a parent, I've experienced the process in a lot of different ways over the years. And I must tell you, this time felt truly collaborative, caring, and student-centered. These three really took the time to listen, ask good questions, and think through what would make a real difference day to day. It never felt rushed or defensive. It truly felt like a team meeting. Their empathy and professionalism made what can often be a stressful process feel supportive and productive. So anybody who's been in a 504 or IEP meeting, those meetings, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of feelings in them. And so to hear that this team did such a great job, I want to say thank you to them as well.
All right.
I want to thank each of these educators for all that they do to empower all of our students to achieve personal success. And this last shout out, I would be remiss if we didn't recognize Veterans Day. Both of my parents are retired Air Force, and so I know personally the sacrifices that people in the armed forces do to protect our rights and our liberties for this country. And I just want to say thank you to all the veterans that work for District 7 and the veterans in the District 7 community. And we'll do it again next month. So if you want to shout out a special staff member or a custodian, certified staff, classified staff, please send me an email and let me know.
Dr. Duncan, do they know that this is happening?
The teachers?
Uh-huh.
No. So my next step will be is I will write them a personal card and just
tell
kind of
them,
let
"Watch
them
it."
know, and then I will
Yeah.
send them also the email that I got
Good.
so they have it from the parent.
Cool.
Nice.
And that they were recognized at the meeting.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, at this time, the board has set aside time for anyone wishing to address the board. I'd like to remind our public that this portion of the meeting, for a maximum of 60 minutes, time is reserved for comments from the public in accordance with Policy 2230, public participation at Board of Education meeting, and petition of the board as follows. This will be the only opportunity to address the board during the regular meeting. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. A screen timer will be provided. Individuals may not defer their time to another speaker. If your comments are about matters involving students or district personnel, please refrain from disclosing names. Please understand that the board will not respond to questions made during public comments, but may direct the superintendent to address these questions in a district communication or at a subsequent board meeting. Please remember that the board generally needs to gather additional information about any questions or concerns prior to responding or taking action. At the conclusion of the meeting, if you have additional questions for the board, please see the board secretary. Okay, one name signed up, and Karen Zimmerman.
I wrote it down, so I'm not in. Okay, my topic is Gateway Enterprise Zone that y'all have on the agenda. So I'll just read it. It's the existing zone has been in existence for 28 years on a 30-year program. There's been a couple of change orders, also known as amendments, to add territory using an out-of-the-ordinary definition for contiguous and benefiting a select group of entities, and it is to the exclusion of others. Per FOIA, neither Madison County, City of Edwardsville, or District 7 can provide a current status of the program. It's in 28 years, and nobody can give a status, and millions have been given in tax payments. The City of Edwardsville and Madison County rely very heavily on a third-party consultant, similar to how District 7 seems to run programs. So before obligating District 7 monies for the next 15 years, consider the following. The proposed new enterprise zone contains the exact same territory, as amended, as the old enterprise zone. I'd consider that a red flag. The new enterprise zone name is the exact same name as the old enterprise zone. That's kind of a red flag, or questionable anyway. Per FOIA, the city could not produce an actual list of the parcels in the zone and their status as far as development goes. There's a lot of parcels that have already been developed over in the warehouse district. That was the enterprise zone until it was changed. That's a red flag. There's no documented nor advertised process as to how one gets their parcel added to the zone. That's kind of a red flag. The city has had to raise taxes on its constituents in the last 2 years because existing resources cannot keep up with all the commercial growth. That's a red flag. And anyone that actually reads the Enterprise Zone Act will see that in the first paragraph that the Enterprise Zone Act is intended for economically distressed areas that need particular government attention. Kind of questionable. So in closing, prior to any vote that commits District 7 taxpayers for the next 15 years, I recommend the following. Each District 7 board member should read the actual Illinois Enterprise Zone statute in context with Edwardsville. District 7 be provided a status against plan for the existing enterprise zone. District 7 get information to identify the red flags. Ask for a written legal opinion of the word contiguous and publish that opinion. Note that only elected officials can request written legal opinion. And ask for a projection as to the amount of taxpayer funds District 7 would be committing to through tax abatements and what will be realized in return for those abatements, i.e. types and quality of long-term employment opportunities. If these are just low-paying jobs, why are you subsidizing them? What's being requested should be readily available to anyone administering a program, so it costs the taxpayer nothing. But the result could result in millions of savings to District 7 taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak tonight? Okay. Before we move on, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. We're unable to address your comments, but please know that the board will have conversations with administration about the topic brought up tonight. Okay, moving on. Policy section.
So Press Plus issued 120 recommended policy updates. Majority of these policy updates are all verbiage changes. These are not updates to any kind of application or administrative procedure that we have. Then we'll bring these back at the next board meeting for first reading and discussion.
Okay. And I did go through and look at everyone, and they're from, maybe one of them has like a sentence change, but didn't look like that really anything was changing other than just, yeah. So, does anybody have any comments, questions? Okay. And these will come up for first review at the next board meeting, right? Okay.
First reading.
First reading, sorry. Okay. This time I'd like to welcome Dave Courtney, CFO COO, to join us to discuss the tax levy. Yay.
You actually have a nameplate.
They got your nameplate up here.
Yeah, you do it over there.
I can sit over there too. So tonight I want to kind of talk about the tax levy for 2025 for the 26-27 school year. So this will be a conversation. We will ask the board to approve this estimate then at the next meeting, and then it'll be approved and certified in December. So I want to start with, before I get actually into the tax levy itself, projection based on what we know today, kind of want to walk through what you'll see and why the EAV estimate is what it is. So obviously, you know, in the last couple of years is from this chart that we have, well, actually going back to 2022, we've had growth in the tax rate, or I'm sorry, tax levy of EAV of more than 7%. 7%, 22, over 10%, 23, 24. The vast majority of that increase is being driven by the multiplier. So as we've kind of talked in the past, there's essentially a 3-year rolling average in the Illinois Department of Revenue. You have to get to a 33 1/3% 3-year rolling average on valuation. And what the multiplier does is get you to that 33 1/3%. So when you look at this year, you can kind of see, like, as an example, last year, many of the multipliers more than 7%. Edwardsville Township over 7, Hamel over 11, Pinoak over 9. So those multiplier numbers are essentially getting the 3-year rolling average to 33 1/3%. It is the same kind of dynamic again this year. So when you just look at the district's tentative EAV growth without the multiplier, this year, currently, it's only at 0.5%. So from the overall district perspective, without a multiplier, essentially you would be looking at flat tax revenue growth next year. What we have gotten, or what we have been able to discern is that you see up there is the multiplier estimates for this upcoming 25 levy for the 26-27 school year to get to that 33 1/3% that's requirement. So Edwardsville is the largest component township in the district. The multiplier sits at 6.83. So when you look at the EAV change that's projected, and you'll see the 7.5%, the vast majority of that then is being driven by that 6.8 multiplier, because without that multiplier, you're looking at maybe 0.5% growth. And you can see the other estimates for the multipliers in the different townships for this, are projected for this year. So right now, the multipliers are, I mean, I'll say they're estimates, but they're going to be fairly accurate, because you need to get to that 33 1/3. The 0.5% growth rate is still an estimate, because it does not include the numerous property tax appeals that are still going on. Doesn't include the impact of those, and doesn't necessarily include all of the impacts from whether there are other exemptions or property tax exemptions have been submitted or filed or completed before that final EAV number is determined. So right now, from a projection purpose, you're probably looking at a growth that's going to be somewhere around 7.5%. Based off of projected needs preliminarily for 26-27 from a budget perspective, that 7.5% growth is needed to cover what I can tell, or what I know, or what we are estimating the expenses to be for next fiscal year. And I mean contracted salaries. We have one contract we have to negotiate this year. It's a secretarial contract. Health insurance projections, and just other cost increase projections for next year. That number is going to be, that expense number will utilize a vast majority of the tax revenue that's increased, derived from this projected 7.5% increase. So we can kind of talk about that, but preliminarily, that's what that looks like right now, going into next year.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Or, looking at the numbers, you talked about Edwardsville being the 6.83. Obviously, there's other numbers that are either comparable to that or way over that.
Right.
But since the Edwardsville Township has got more development in it, that's why that has more weight compared to the other percentages that are higher?
The largest EAV component is Edwardsville Township. And the thing to remember, I'm sorry, Jill, it's a fair question. 2024, the EAV number without the multiplier was around 2%. So if you add the multiplier last year, like Edwardsville, 7.7, and you add 2%, that's about a 9.7% increase. It ended up being 10. This year, the EAV growth number is only at 0.5. So the amount of property in the other townships doesn't drive the number like the Edwardsville Township does.
Thank you.
Okay. So if there's any other questions about that, I'm going to go to the actual, right now, tax levy projection. So this calculation, you'll see a couple numbers, but I'll just concentrate right now on the estimate. So with the estimate of 7.5%, you kind of see under that estimate drives the expected revenue column, and then I'll talk about the recommended levy. So obviously you'll see that our identify the tax rates that have the asterisk are the ones that are set by either school code, referendum, and they're at their max. And you'll see those ed fund, O&M, transportation, working cash, technology or lease related to technology, life safety, and special ed. So those are at the maximum, either from referendum or school code, determined by school code. Obviously, when you look at the bonding rates down below, those are all established right now by our bonding covenants or debt service payments that will be due next fiscal year. So those are set. You will see 3 rates in the middle, IMRF, Social Security, and tort. So we'll talk about Social Security first because it's the easiest. Essentially, we're projecting that expected number from an expense side to be flat. So we're really not looking for an increase in the dollar amount associated with the Social Security fund from a small amount because of salaries going up. IMRF, a couple things are happening there. So last year we levied about $500,000. We had an IMRF balance, fund balance last year that we utilized to help keep the tax rate, the rate itself lower than it was the year before. So that is causing an increase that'll need to happen this year, but the bigger reason is for the last 3-4 years now, the IMRF rate that the district contributes. So when an employee contributes 4.5% towards their IMRF retirement, then there's an amount that the district contributes. 2 years ago, that amount was 5%, and this year it's projected to be 6.3%. So that increase is driving that number up as well. And that is determined by IMRF. There's an individual calculation that's done for each individual school district. And the vast majority of that number is a lot of time is driven by the performance of IMRF's investments. And there were some calculations that IMRF did post-COVID that have caused that rate also to go up the last couple of years. A lot of that, again, though, is that rate is directly tied to the contributions that the district has made to the IMRF. So it's not like it's a pooling effect. There is a specific statement that IMRF sends you specifically for the district that it says this is the amount that is in reserve, this is your projected increases, this is the projected investment earnings we think off of that, that then drives that rate. So between a combination of salary increases, the utilization of some fund balance last year to keep the rate below what it was the year before, and the fact that our rate is going up again this year from an IMRF perspective is why we're requesting or need that amount to be $1 million this year. The next number, which is the tort fund. So obviously the tort fund the last couple of years has taken on a significant increase because of our liability, property, and work comp insurance to start. That's been going up 10 to 15% the last couple of years, along with the increases in salaries that are derived from the individuals paid from the tort fund, which are our monitors and our school safety officers, and then our contractual obligations with the city of Edwardsville for the SRO program. So those numbers have led to that increase the last few years. This year coming up for 26-27, we're also in a similar situation with our liability and property insurance and the projected increases that we need to have to get our fund balances from our MISFIC pool back to where we think they should be. We created not only the fund balances, but we also created, from MISFIC, we created a large fund balance reserve that we started this past year because we got hit significantly when we had some of the large, like the hailstorm that impacted Edwardsville and what that did to the fund balances. And significant just increases in work comp again on top of property and liability. And the markets and how some of the markets on our insurance pool, especially from the property side, have been kind of constricting and what we've had to do to kind of balance those things out. So when you see that $4.5 million estimate for next year, that is not adding anything other than what we have this year. It's just the cost increases that are projected between our liability, property, and work comp insurance, some increase for our SRO contract, and increases in salaries and benefits for our monitors and school safety officers. There's no other additional expenditure items. Like there have been discussions about that; those are not in there. when you see that $4.5 million number. So it's strictly an increased need driven by what I'm projecting our costs to be for next year based off of the same kind of operation that is running in the tort fund this year. So those are the two amounts that are increasing. So when you look at that 7.5 projection, our estimate, you're looking at a tax rate next year that would be around 464, 465. And this year is 466 almost, just shy of that. So there's not, from a rate perspective, those rates, at least I feel in those three funds, are pretty set. I mean, there's nothing we can really fluctuate in those three areas that we could fluctuate a rate. The other items are set, maxed. And just looking at the projected expenditure needs for next year, I don't see anything that would be helpful to not maximize the tax rates.
Any questions? Okay.
So, go ahead, Bob.
No, I was just going to say, from a levy perspective, though, I mean, the percent is fairly flat from across years, so it really is the multiplier that's kind of driving
It is.
the increase. Okay.
So, this estimate will be brought to the board. One of the things that on Thursday, I had to do it last year, but there's a new school code reference that tells the district that they need to post this on the website, like on the front page of the website, 30 days before the actual levy is adopted. So bringing this forward, so we will post a preliminary number out there on Thursday. Then the board will approve the estimate, because after that estimate is approved, then I have to have a public hearing within the time frame after that estimate. So that'll be posted Thursday or Friday, since the board meeting's the 15th of December.
So the next meeting, we're voting to post, but then in December,
So,
we approve.
well, I have to, as required, I will post the estimate Friday.
Okay.
Then once the board finalizes the estimate, that kicks in the date that I have to have the public hearing, which is like 14 days after, and no more than 7 days after, and 14 days before the actual estimate is adopted.
Okay.
And then that drives that hearing, which will be like the first week of December. And then the board will have to approve it on the 15th of December, so it can be filed with the county before the end of the calendar
Okay.
year.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm
All
good.
right, thank you.
Do you want to move over here?
Come on, Dave.
Yeah, I guess I can.
Okay. I just lost mine. Hold on. Next item up for bid. Yeah, I can't speak unless I have a script. Okay, Dr. Duncan and Mr. Courtney, we can now discuss the enterprise zones.
Yes, so the city reached out to us to want to come present to the board their proposal and kind of what the district's expectation would be if we were to ratify a resolution for the enterprise zone. This is the first time several board members will be hearing this presentation, and it's our plan to allow them to hear it from the city, then essentially set up additional meetings with city administrators to answer any questions before there is any decision made. So this is not a voting presentation. This is just informational for the board so they can get caught up to speed. And again, this is the first time the board has received this information, so we would like to give them time to receive it, digest it, ask their questions so they can make an informed decision. So we have Eric Williams and James Arnold from the city who would like to present.
autographed copies. So,
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
If you don't mind,
Nice.
thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So I'm James Arnold. I'm with the City of Edwardsville. I have two wonderful daughters that are in District 7. That's not here nor there. I just like to plug them. I have one in Goshen and one in Columbus, and they're absolutely wonderful schools. I'm a District 7 product myself, 04 grad, very proud of that as well.
I'm Eric Williams, City Administrator. I've been with the City of Edwardsville for 28 years. My kids did not go through Edwardsville, they went through Bethalto, so they're still doing okay.
So we do appreciate the opportunity to talk about the Gateway Enterprise Zone tonight. As reference, I know this might be the first time we are hearing about an enterprise zone, or maybe what that is, and I'm just going to give you a general overview of what that is and what it looks like, especially as it relates to Edwardsville and essentially Madison County. On slide 2, we'll start off with the big view, okay? Madison County has 4 enterprise zones. Enterprise zones are selected via a competitive process, and they are chosen by the state of Illinois following state legislation and state approval. I will highlight here on slide 2 that the Riverbend is the gold zone and the Southwest is the purple zone. I only really want to point these out because both these zones were actually created once in 1984 and lasted for 30 years. And when they expired after that 30-year timeline, they were created as new zones with the same name in Madison County. So that is essentially Riverbend as a new zone and Southwest as a new zone. Gateway was created in 1997, and as noted earlier, it is in its 28th year of existence. What made Gateway so special was it afforded a property tax abatement schedule of 10 years. And that was a little bit different than Southwest and Riverbend at the time. They were only on a 4-year abatement schedule. Edwardsville and its partners, Pontoon Beach and Madison County, wanted to take a much more aggressive approach, especially with access to 255 and 55, as they saw an opportunity for development and for the town to grow. In the enterprise zone, you also are afforded other incentives. When you're building a building, you can obtain a building material sales tax exemption of 6.25%, which is essentially the state sales tax rate for any materials that are purchased within the state of Illinois. You can also qualify for the investment tax credit, which is something you do at tax day as an investor in the enterprise zone. The utility tax credit and the machinery sales tax exemption, they have not been used in Gateway to date. As a matter of fact, I've only seen them used in 2 zones, once in Southwest for U.S. Steel and once in Riverbend for Phillips 66 Refinery. Page 4 shows how many taxing districts are involved in the process, or in Gateway in general. We have 18 taxing bodies within this enterprise zone. And as a part of this application process to create a new zone, we have to meet with each taxing body and request a resolution in favor of property tax abatement to essentially help this new zone take off. On slide 5, I wanted to talk about maybe just some minor differences between TIF and the enterprise zone. TIFs are created by cities, municipalities to deal with slum and blight. TIF maps typically look different than enterprise zone maps. There's a word that gets kind of tossed around loosely between the TIF Act and the Enterprise Zone Act, and they mean 2 very different things, whether you are in a TIF or you are in an enterprise zone. I've heard the term contiguous used. In a TIF, the parcels are contiguous, which means each parcel touches the one before it and touches the one next to it until the boundaries are defined. In an enterprise zone, you can run a contiguous annexation strip
no less than 3 feet, no greater than 8 feet to different segments to the zone. This zone first started in Edwardsville on our western corridor. It was actually Madison County at the time before we annexed out there, and Pontoon Beach was connected to that as well. I'm going to flip back here just to talk about slide 2 again. There was a map that showed the 4 enterprise zones within Madison County. If you look at the Discovery Zone, which is in kind of that teal color, you'll notice that it is in approximately 7 different cities that spans from Collinsville all the way out to Highland. Those parcels are not TIF contiguous. Those parcels are enterprise zone contiguous, meaning they use the annexation strips defined in the Enterprise Zone Act to connect those sites together. In TIF, we are allowed to do development agreements. Development agreements are brought to us by our partners or by developers, and they have requests, and a lot of times those requests are in the form of upfront dollars for eligible costs, or they want to capture the increment that is gained as part of the growth from that development. TIFs can last for 23 years in the state of Illinois, and they can be asked to be extended for 12 years. In TIF, there is still property taxes paid by each body. Those property taxes go into the TIF fund. In an enterprise zone, property taxes are abated. So for example, if for the first 7 years, there's no building on farm, or we'll take a piece of agricultural property with no building on it. So that, let's say the tax bill is $1,000 a year for that parcel. For the first 7 years, after a building is built on that parcel, the tax bill is $1,000. In year 8, it starts generating taxes, 70%, a 70% abatement, so 30% property taxes. Year 9, it's a 40% abatement, so 60% property taxes. Year 10, it's a 10% abatement, or 90% of the property taxes are started to pay. So within, I only point that out because when these buildings are built in the warehouses, that $1,000 that maybe the deal that we made for maybe 7 years for $1,000, you immediately get that back in year 8. Because most of those property taxes are astronomically higher now in just that first year of not a full property tax bill. And I'll show you an example moving forward. In Edwardsville in particular, we have TIF 2 and TIF 4. They are downtown. All those parcels touch each other, and I want to keep hitting that over and over. It's contiguous via parcels. It is approved by all the local taxing bodies, and again, redevelopment agreements are negotiated and can be requested for that type of development. In Enterprise Zone, there's no redevelopment agreements. It's approved by the state of Illinois. We are just an applicant providing an application to the state for formal approval. And again, Madison County has received approval for 4 enterprise zones, 2 of which have already become new enterprise zones twice. Page 7 I had created actually when I was working for Madison County at the time. Sorry, Eric, but I borrowed it. At this point, when this map was created, there were 36 warehouses in that enterprise zone. We're up to about 42 warehouses now, about 23 million square feet. And I only put this up there so people can see just the list of partners that have decided to develop in this area, from Spectrum Brands to Amazon to Walgreens, you name it, they're down there. Worldwide Technology, Hershey, Walmart, Sam's, Walgreens. I mean, some very big names have chosen to invest in our backyard. I have better maps here. This kind of got cut off. If you jump to the end of the packet here, I have big unfoldable maps. So essentially we were trying to show kind of the enterprise zone as it relates to District 7, the District 7 boundaries. So District 7 is inside of the red boundary here, and what's actually in the enterprise zone right now is in the green. real simple, but I just want to give everybody an idea of where District 7 is with this enterprise zone.
Hey, quick question for you.
Yes, of course.
Can someone be part of the TIF district and enterprise zone at the same time?
Yes. So what's important to know about that is the TIF Act supersedes the Enterprise Zone Act. So property taxes are still paid. There are no property tax abatements if it is underlined with the TIF.
But the property taxes that are paid go into the TIF fund.
Yes.
Okay, so what proceeds of that go to the district or the city?
Whatever the negotiated deal is, typically between the district and the city. There is a negotiation process when those TIFs are formed, because again, the city has to come to the District 7 as a partner in that.
Okay.
So like generally in TIF 4, there's a pass-through, like a 10% pass-through. So
Yeah, okay.
that continues to happen. So
So-
they can't utilize both the abatement and, so you can't have the TIF, once it's in the TIF, it has to continue paying property taxes. So the only benefit to most of the parcels, the properties within the TIF would be the sales tax utilization, the sales tax abatement.
Okay, so on your example, you had the TIF example, and you had mentioned Main Street was in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that also said that they overlap on the
Yes.
enterprise zone. So if we're looking at that previous map there, all that on Main Street there, that goes down to Plum Street, that's all TIF and enterprise?
Yes.
Okay.
So those businesses would benefit from the sales tax?
Yes, so for example, the Madison County, what's the bank?
Bank
Bank of Madison County.
On South Main Street.
They are in a TIF and they are in the enterprise zone. They qualified for both projects. They were able to get building materials sales tax exemption for the materials that they bought in Illinois, and they were also able to potentially negotiate a TIF development agreement.
And the new Carrollton Bank, is that part of that too?
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
But they will not be able to get the property tax abatement portion. It's only on the TIF side. So they will, whenever they're fully built out, they will be assessed at their true valuation.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
The TIF, so the TIF, it's a 10% pass-through on 4.
I know on TIF 4, I'm more familiar.
And the one that was out off of 255 was a 10% pass-through, but that's the one that closed early
That's
about.
closed.
That was TIF 3.
TIF 3.
Yes.
4 or 5 years ago, they closed that early, and then the district received I think it was $2 million, I'm trying to remember, disbursement once the TIF was closed for taxes that were in there but weren't essentially utilized.
Yes.
So we got 2 one-time distributions. One was like 800 or 900, and I think another was.
It was after the
um,
following
the-
tax year as
after
the
it was-
payments came
yeah,
in.
and the other was $1 million, so.
Okay.
Slide 10, so why Gateway? What made Gateway so important? The St. Louis region in general, you can see the one-day travel. When we've talked with the TriStars and the Panettones and some of our third-party logistics companies, you can get to some major MSAs within one-day trip. And that's why Gateway took off, and we saw that type of expansion in our logistics and warehouse distribution valley. You can see how long it takes to get across in 2 days and 3 days and so on. But really, I think whenever I'm asked about why did Gateway explode, it's proximity to the interstate and proximity to other major MSAs. Cushman Wakefield at one point, I know I've discussed this before, but they listed Gateway as the 3rd best performing logistics and distribution center within the Midwest.
So once they sign into the TIFs and everything, they're not able to renegotiate these tax agreements post, correct? They're locked in on those.
So for a TIF development agreement, it has the terms that are dictated in the agreement itself.
1 through 10 and those-
Yes. In the enterprise zone, if you build in the enterprise zone, if you get the incentive, there is no form of development agreement.
There's no upfront capital,
Yeah.
that's just part of the enterprise.
So now we'll start taking a look at a few examples. This building has Geodis inside of it. In 2017, prior to any development, District 7 received $235 on this piece of property. That's when it was a piece of grass. In year 8 of the current schedule, they are in year 8, which means they've started coming back online with property taxes. The school district is receiving $203,000 of that property tax bill that's now generated because we have a building on that site. 12, I ran a full-on estimate of what that looks like moving forward. So as you can see, when this comes off of the abatement, District 7 is going to generate approximately just shy of $650,000. That's assuming everything is flat and no changes. I'm taking a very conservative approach to that. This is what it looks like running the same timeline, the same schedule, if there was never a building on this site. So this is the but-for argument. This building is not here but for the enterprise zone being in place, and this is what it looks like without development. So you take a generated property tax income of approximately $5 million and you compare it to $3,500 in that same time period.
So what the question is going to be at the end of the presentation or next meeting or whatever is, will district be in favor of restarting? I'm asking what, I don't know what that word is. What did you say?
We will ask you to adopt a property tax resolution abatement for a new enterprise zone.
Okay, so my question is, if you go to your example here, what are the dollars? Does that start over at year 1 again, or does that continue on after year 16 on
So the only
taxes that are
way,
paid?
so if, let's say a building gets built at the end of the current enterprise zone in 2026, they're gonna get their 10 years even if the zone is not there. That's how the state act worked, and nobody has challenged that to date. Because the new zone is going in place, that will not restart anything.
Okay.
So if you wanna, let's talk about the Hershey building. The Hershey building has been down there for a long time. It's close to 1 million square feet. Let's say they're already out, they're paying their full property tax bill to everybody. Let's say they wanted to add 250,000 square feet to that building, which increased the EAV of that building.
Mm-hmm.
They are still gonna pay $1 million in property taxes per year. That 250,000 square feet is what would get abated. But then you take that.
Then it gets parceled or piece, okay.
So you never go backwards in the enterprise zone. It never like restarts.
So, and maybe I'm getting ahead of the presentation, but let's say, for instance, somebody builds like in the last year of the enterprise zone. They get the full time period. It's just what you're approving is when they can start that abatement process. So at the end of the 30 years, if somebody comes in year 29 and builds something, they still get the full terms of the
Correct.
the 15 years or whatever it is.
And I'll say that with the caveat of if they build in 2027 when this zone expires, and as of January 1st, 2028, whatever that building is assessed at is what gets abated. So if they're 75% done with the building, that's the abatement schedule for the next 10 years. They won't get a full, the building's not complete yet, so they're only going to get abated what's completed to date.
Okay.
So if it's under construction, or if the building's within the abatement before the zone expires, that continues on. I think that was.
Yeah. It just, because I wasn't sure if like at the end of, when it expires, if everybody just goes up to 100%, but it sounds like there's incentive to build even in the last year of the enterprise. Okay.
And that's something, and I mean, there's 97 enterprise zones in the state, so this has been throughout the state ever since that act was enacted, so that's how it's been implemented statewide.
Okay.
I put this bar graph on here with a line to try to really tell a narrative, and maybe the first narrative is I had to go back and figure out how to properly show this because the property taxes were so low in pink for what is generated on a parcel that is not developed that when I put it up there with the property taxes for a parcel that is developed, they didn't show up. And so I had to go in and play with the logarithmic, some Excel stuff. And I did that on purpose. So even though that pink looks like it's half of the line of a full, it's $200 comparatively speaking to $650,000.
Yeah, but if somebody were to come in 2020 and build a building on there outside of the district, or outside that enterprise zone, we'd be getting that money then. So that's just what if no
It's
one
on
ever
the-
built on there?
It's on the but, if they,
It's on the but for.
it's on the but for.
Okay.
Will they build or not? When they can go right across the street, right across the, actually, some of this is going right across the street. There's 4 zones. They're gonna shop where they can get the best deal.
Okay.
So the
So
point
it's
is,
the but
why
for.
would they build in a spot with no enterprise
Yeah,
zone when they can go to?
that's-
Right, you can go across the street and get.
They go, okay, I got it.
And maybe we should go back to and mention that Collinsville has now adopted a 10-year property tax abatement schedule in the Discovery Zone. Granite City has now made their adoptions to do the same as well,
Which is within this zone.
which is right across the
That was-
street, 111, in this zone.
So within
Collinsville?
one,
Or
Granite City.
Granite City.
Yeah.
Granite City
Collinsville's
School
in-
District.
Oh.
yeah, Granite City School District. So that's one of the taxing
That's
districts.
part of
that listed
Pontoon
up
Beach.
front.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, if, on this larger map, really, if you, anything to the south and west is really Granite City School
Granite City
District,
School, yeah.
which they have already passed their abatement. So really, we're even competing with our own selves internally within the zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're basically standardizing with all the other enterprise zones around us.
We're trying to create the new zone to do that, but in actuality, the other zones are actually raising their incentives to meet the incentives that were in Gateway.
Gateway had probably the most
But you said
aggressive.
Collinsville's
Yeah,
already in.
They are now in the Discovery Enterprise Zone, and Discovery has adopted that 10-year property tax abatement schedule that Gateway has.
When you say create a new zone, you're not actually creating, according to the presentation I read, you're not creating new areas, you're renewing. So it's more or less a renewing the zone.
So I'll just a level of clarity, I can use the word renew interchangeably as well. But
Okay.
per state statute, Gateway expires after 30 years.
Right.
So in turn, we are creating a new zone
With the same name.
with the same name and the same map, which has been done already twice in Madison County.
Okay.
But you're not expanding the
boundary.
boundaries.
All the owners or the management committee to date has agreed to keep
Yep.
the same exact map.
Okay.
Okay.
When does the current one expire?
The current one expires December 31st, 2027.
Okay.
And are all these parceled out already in that zone?
Do they all have parcels or?
Yeah, parcel IDs.
So what I found out, parcel IDs.
Well,
So like,
if I pulled up the Madison County map and I see my parcel that's on there, we pull up the enterprise zone and see the parcels that are inside that zone?
yes, so when I was still actually with Madison County, I worked with the GIS department to do a map overlay. It's actually on Madison County Community Development's website, and it's now listed specifically on Madison County's Economic Development website, to where you can zoom into this map on page 2. You can type your address in, it'll take you to whatever address is, and if it's in one of the colors, you're in an enterprise zone. So it does tell you that.
Okay.
So this is, we kind of hinted at this already, but this was a building that was originally built. This was built, I think, in, 2007. But in 2006, District 7 received $3,719 in property taxes from this site. The total property tax bill was The total property tax bill in 2024 was $120,000. District 7 received approximately $72,000 of this. This is the JF Electric building, and if you've been down there or know about them, they have done this process in the enterprise zone now twice, to where they had their building, they were in it for a while, and then they did choose to add on and receive that next abatement. So I did run their model on slide 17 as well, and as you can see, around 2015, they decided to add on 28,000 square feet, and you can start seeing that increase in property taxes over time, and what gets abated and what doesn't get abated. You're still getting that same tax rate. Year 11 and year 12 are virtually the same number.
Quick question for you. Is this done by parcel by property or done by company? For example, let's just say hypothetically JF Electric said, you know what, we can't build on anymore, there's a swamp and a creek there, we're gonna build a whole new place. And since they had already benefited from that abatement, would they benefit from a new abatement and building a new property?
Yes.
And what would happen to the property that they had already built? Would that forego the abatement, or anybody who moves in there would then start paying 100% of the taxes, or would they start their own abatement?
They would not restart any abatement unless they made an improvement to the facility.
Okay.
So
And then only on that portion?
And then only on that portion, yes.
So moving in there, you know, JF Electric moves out, and Matt's Electric moves in there, I'm paying 100% of what I should be paying without any abatement whatsoever until I decide to head on.
If they are no longer within the abatement schedule, you'd be paying the full 100%. If it was in year 5, and if Matt's Electric moves in on year 5, you would still be at 0.
You are the new owner
You're the new
of the
owner.
building
I would
that's
follow-
in the abatement schedule.
Okay, I would follow their existing abatement.
So it follows the property?
It follows the property, not the owner.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
What's considered improvement?
Well, in this example, they added 28,000 square feet to their building.
Right.
In many instances, from what I've seen, it has only been triggered by building additions.
Okay,
Like
so it's
when they go
not
through and do a new
upgrading the
roof.
building
No.
or, okay.
And
New
what we've seen, like,
taxable facilities.
On
Or square
EAV,
feet.
so like if on a 1 million square foot warehouse, changing the roof is substantial, but it doesn't, that's a really
Right.
a maintenance type project, but that's substantial on the sales tax. So some of those could potentially be eligible for the sales tax abatement portion only, not the EAV portion.
Okay.
You're looking at an expansion of square footage.
Square footage,
taxable square
increase in the
footage.
EAV value.
So development of that,
Yes, sir.
okay.
But while we talk about that, I would say a $700,000 roof, the companies do need that incentive to reinvest in those facilities, which is good for all the partners down there.
Keep the property values maintained.
Well, it keeps them there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I'll jump to slide 19. This is actually vacant property down there right now. As it stands, undeveloped, it's approximately 41 acres. And this is what District 7 receives to date, $630.89 year over year, conservatively. If that zone is not there, do we get a building on there?
That is the question, right? In fact, that's what all the research, when people were looking at enterprise zones, it's, what makes one enterprise zone successful versus another one. So, I think that's the question I hear a lot is, well, people are gonna come to Edwardsville anyway. I guess the question is, when you have all the competing enterprise zones around that have abatements and we don't, then what is the incentive? So.
And it's not only that, I'll go back to proximity as well. We are a part of that St. Louis MSA, and Missouri has an ability to offer things that Illinois cannot. So enterprise zones are one of our tools to incentivize companies to come here. Missouri can do some different things that Illinois cannot offer.
What type of buildings, properties, companies, who can build in an enterprise zone? You can't build residential there, correct?
Depending on how the enterprise zone is written, you can build residential.
Okay.
Virtually, the act itself is intentionally vague, but it's written by the state of Illinois. We certainly fall within that. It allows anybody that has the ability to invest to invest. Now, on the building material sales tax exemption side, if a company is not filing their tax reports at the end of the year, they will get debarred from receiving building material sales tax exemptions. So the state itself has a checking mechanism that will stop companies from taking advantage of the system.
Okay.
Scott Credit Union and Prairie Farms, I think we noticed that, our enterprise zone started expanding. It went from the warehouse district to SIUE to Schulte's Supply to Main Street out to our eastern corridor and I-55. I think two of our success stories are Scott Credit Union and Prairie Farms. When Edwardsville started getting maybe even more name recognition with the enterprise zone was when we started getting some real national known headquarters to come here. And it just also brought a different maybe style of job and brought some people into our community or moving into District 7. Prairie Farms is doing so well. We are very proud of that. They are now expanding their footprint. They're doubling the size of their current facility. So in 2006, the EAV of the Gateway Enterprise Zone was $53 million. In 2023, which was our most recent estimate of just the zone itself, this was working with our consultant, the EAV was $433 million. So you can see in that short time period, the growth that this zone has provided, which kind of, to me, helps the but-for argument. At peak times, Logistics Valley has over 10,000 employees, ranging from Clinton County to St. Clair County, Madison County, and St. Louis counties. And I believe as a student, or as a father in the district, I do read the school report cards, and I believe it costs the district approximately $14K per student, at least if I was reading that portion of the report card right. So now let's talk about that Hershey building, where District 7 receives $890,000 in property taxes per year. If I do my loose math right, I believe that's approximately paying for 58 students in the district.
I love that chocolate pays for our kids.
And then I did, one home in Evansfield, brings in $9,657 per year for the school district, and that does not quite cover one kid.
Got another question for you. I'm gonna put on a different hat though. So having worked what I did before and had the experience down there in the enterprise zone, what's this do for our first responders? You bring in a lot of people, a lot of people from all over the immediate area, which brings in trouble. If we don't have the property taxes not only to pay portions in our school, what's it do to the rest of the city? When that
There is
increases
a,
call
I mean,
value.
and like you said, you've lived that life as well. So there are, when you have a lot of 10,000 additional people, peak times a year, that's a whole nother city. So it does create a demand on, police and fire, as well as the street system within public works. So some of it is that deferred type income before it comes in. Do we keep allowing just the agricultural land to stay there, or the growth that we have with that additional EAV and capturing that with our levy funds those services?
Okay, so there's no, just as a school, as we receive that 200, whatever dollars, let's just call it the police department or fire department is getting that same portion, not an increased portion, even though it's bringing in calls for service, anywhere from crime to medical needs and whatever it may be. And the response time also increases to get the further out that this goes. We're diminishing our resources within the town. So I'm just want to make sure that not only is the school taken care of, but the rest of the city is taken care of, because our vote matters just not only for us, but it matters for everybody, this whole community.
Right. Agree, and that's part of, as long as we capture that EAV growth and handle it appropriately through the city finance budget cycle, similar to kind of what you saw tonight with different costs going up, that's how we offset that.
Okay.
We are very fortunate to be in the position we are in. I think we added the East Station, which helped cut down times out east in particular. And we've had conversations with both police and fire chief about Gateway in particular and response times and other opportunities that may be available to them down there.
Thank you.
So with the land that you're talking about down in that area off of Sand Road, you still have a bunch of residential houses in that area. Now, up in the fifth part, there's language in there of blight and slum. And I don't like that, because, anybody can go in and call something blight to force somebody off of their land. But by bringing increased traffic down there, have we looked at studies for how it's going to affect our neighbors down in that area too? Because some of those are our kids that attend these schools.
Want to make sure we're looking kind of at the same time.
Yeah, the Sand Road.
Sand Road's.
Yeah, Sand Road is towards the north end of Sand Road, which is that strip.
So really, the enterprise zone itself is still west of Sand Road.
Mhm.
There was a small piece of it that does touch Sand Road, which actually has been placed in the conservation easement.
Right.
So kind of how we, on this map, we kind of looked at how, like what developable acres would remain. So we didn't use, this is not really, even though it's part of the current zone, it's not really developable acres to even touch Sand Road.
Okay.
So really, I don't see any additional truck, vehicular traffic or anything being placed on Sand Road. Is that where you were going? with your
Yeah,
question?
because it's also gonna play into infrastructure, what Matt was talking about, we'll see. Okay.
Do companies typically stay, so after is there anything that locks a company in to stay? So for instance, 8 years, we start gaining money back, what stops them from coming in and moving on? To another place that has zero tax for them? What's the
But
history down here?
With that said, we have not seen an exodus of companies.
Okay, so the majority are staying, or?
Right now, the only company that with a name brand that's recognizable that has left is Walgreens, but they didn't just leave. If you watch the national news about Walgreens, they're undergoing some major changes and they're downsizing and losing facilities.
Which Amazon's getting ready to downsize, and I don't think UPS down there, but a lot of companies are, so that makes you wonder about.
And while Amazon has presented their downsizing, that new building in Pontoon Beach is an Amazon facility at 1 million square feet.
Oh,
Yeah.
And we're looking at another one, so.
okay, so it might not be the people that they're letting go, though, or laying off.
But don't they also come back and renegotiate the terms of the property taxes? They've not held
On the
it.
Pontoon Beach side, they can because, whatever, I can't speak to their TIF development agreement on that side because they overlaid their portion.
But we're in the enterprise.
Right, you're in the enterprise zone, so there's no renegotiation. You get it for 10 years.
Okay.
When we, let's just call it renew, for lack of argument's sake, are we keeping the same terms, or does that open up an opportunity to decrease or increase the terms of the deal to make us more competitive than our neighbors who are already bringing in and matching ours?
I like that, but we did agree to the same terms. Pontoon Beach, Madison County, and we met. We started passing our ordinances, and to date, we have kept the same terms.
Okay, so the terms that are being presented aren't going to change over time?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless you want to make them.
Better
If
for
you want to
them.
give us 15 years.
Well, it's not that. I would like to see the district get a little more money at the beginning as well as some of the city's infrastructure, especially with the amount of people that are moving in down there and the amount of trouble and calls for service that I have witnessed and seen down there. So that greatly concerns me. But, in my opinion, it's needed to develop that area. But I do have my reservations regarding that. But
So I think maybe one of the things I forgot to say up front is we are doing the application process right now. We plan to submit by the end of this calendar year. We are meeting with each one of the taxing bodies involved in this and having the same discussions and conversations. We'd love to have District 7 as a partner in this too, because I think it means a lot to us, it means a lot to you guys as well. This application process with the enterprise zone in the state of Illinois is competitive. So you don't just apply and get. The only way an application even opens up in the state of Illinois is when a zone expires. So we have to be the first in line to get the zone. And we have to have the best application to do that. And a part of submitting the best application is getting all the willing partners involved in that and submitting on time.
And that was gonna be my question. You can still go ahead and fill out your application without our blessing or our positive vote, but that would be the repercussion would be that it might knock you down, or might knock the application down a step or two, or let somebody else get ahead of you.
Or even if it does get approved without us on the table, it's a less effective tool to bring businesses in.
I think the last piece is, I hinted at it, but I didn't say it exactly. When this enterprise zone expires, this is the only one expiring. So we have to be the one that replaces this.
There's no competition this round.
We want to make sure that we're in front, because there will probably be other applications.
Is there a chance that even though let's just say hypothetically, you get all the approvals you ever need from everybody that's out there, that your application gets denied, they look at you and say, well, you've developed too much, I think you guys, time to share the wealth down the road. Is there a way that you would get denied?
There's a chance it would be denied. Now, for whatever scoring system or metrics they use, like, I don't know if they would look at the success that it's had as a penalty.
Okay.
So
Okay.
someone else may come in with a more competitive application that may, when the state's reviewing this, they may feel that may be more attractive to whatever region is submitting it to bring in more, new business to the state.
And how much do you think, if you were to guess, and I won't hold you to it, but how much has been developed versus what is to be developed?
So down particularly
On the average warehouse that goes down there?
in the warehouse, in the warehouse area, we have approximately 441 undeveloped acres
Within District 7.
within District 7.
Okay.
And how many acres does like an average warehouse usually occupy?
441.
I apologize, I don't want to, a 1 million square foot warehouse is, and the whole site parking, most of them are more than 40 acres
Yeah.
on a site.
I was going to say at a minimum of 40.
So maybe 10 new facilities?
Maybe, and
If
that's
that's
not
pushing it.
counting detention, retention, that's not counting everything that Edwardsville adds to that.
I mean, it'd be nice to have an expected growth number.
Yeah.
Hey, we have, we're expecting 10 warehouses and they bring in an average of this. Be nice to have that number. And
We did look at, on this, they kind of showed what we would look at as developable acreage that's left, especially just in the, what we call the logistics and technology area, was the 470 acres. A lot of it's gonna be market driven, how many more 1 million square foot warehouses can be built. And there's some models that are looking at smaller 50,000 square foot warehouses, so there's kind of a market there for some smaller pieces. So depending on how all the puzzle pieces fit together, I can show you how much land is left in District 7 within the gateway, but how they come in and develop them and potentially subdivide them,
Gotcha.
it's really speculative.
Okay.
And since that's all floodplain down there, right? The majority of it?
It's all levee
I
protected.
think it's levy
Right.
protected.
So
That's right.
it's still covered through that.
So
but
is it where everything is ready, or they have to put the water retention systems in for any new builds?
Most of the larger tenants, like I'm going to use more of the national tenants, they want their building pad footprint above a certain elevation.
Yeah, because I've seen they put the basins in down
Because you
there.
see how they raise the
Typically,
building
every building
pads.
is
So it's
raised
not, so
12 inches.
the people building have to do that piece?
Correct.
Okay, so it's, none of that's done yet, that's what I was
Correct.
getting, okay.
And you
That
keep
takes up
referencing
space,
down
too.
that area versus the Scott Credit Union and, this, you talked about Schulte for a brief moment and things like that. But is this, that area down there where you're expecting more of the development or more of the acres available to be developed compared to the other areas of the zone?
I think there are more available acres to develop in our current map, but that doesn't mean I-55 won't develop. And as a city, we are hopeful that I-55 does develop. But it's a different kind of development, and we won't necessarily see the logistics and warehouses in I-55. We are trying to look for more of the corporate headquarters in that zoning code. Something that complement, or we're looking for the amenities such as the Park North Golf Club. hotels.
car dealerships.
We've had those conversations
Yeah.
too, yes.
Get your sales tax.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
So what's the time frame or what's our responsibility time frame wise?
Our next meeting, so that gives us, what, 2 weeks to think and take it all in and ask additional questions if you get home and think of something else, think y'all have made yourselves available, or if we want to, sort of meet individually.
And if you want to funnel everything through Dr. Duncan, you
Yeah.
can reach, he's got all of our contact information, and I think you would probably want to stay point on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they already reached out and said at any point in time we want to meet, that we can meet together individually and clear some things up.
Okay, and then at the next meeting, we'll have a resolution to approve.
So, quick question, how long has this been talked about? Because if this is something that we need the public's support on it also, this is something that we should be getting out in front of the public rather than present today, vote 2 weeks from now. Can I agree with that?
I have a long answer. The City of Edwardsville actually started this process in January, February of 2025.
Okay.
We were working with Madison County Community Development at that point in time. Due to, elections, we have a new chairman, and we also have a new director of Madison County Community Development. And in that time, we also now have a new economic developer for Madison County, which pushed this process to essentially restart in August. We had our first conversation in August with the chairman, then we had a second follow-up conversation in September, and we just approved our own ordinances in October.
I get it, but is the conversation better to have on board this sooner rather than waiting and giving us 2 weeks?
And that's really up to your decision,
Yeah.
if you want to move forward or not.
Okay.
Remind
Is
me
this
when the
available to the
application
public?
is due.
We will
Yeah.
submit by December 31st of this year.
And, end of December.
If you feel it's not enough time, that's your decision, we respect that.
I get it, I'm just
And
saying, if
there
the
was-
conversations were being had and
There was,
It was,
wanting to onboard,
agreed. It was very public. We have a dual read situation, so it went through 4 of our public meetings. It went through, I believe, 2 of Pontoon Beach's meetings and 2 of Madison County's meetings. It's actually going back to Madison County this month, just for a text amendment that we added. So it will be again in the public view. And
was the district involved in any of that?
No, we came about a month ago. They came to us, so.
Okay, that's all I need.
Okay.
Is the PowerPoint attached on for the public to access? Okay, and then what about this? Is the public able to access this?
This is,
Same thing?
That's
this
the
is,
same.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
I looked at the other one, but it seemed like there's more information here. Maybe I could see it better.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Moving on, Mr. Courtney has a facilities update.
All right, so we're gonna give you a quick update on some of the facility projects we have going on. We just finished the Lincoln track. Lincoln track has now been striped, it's ready to go. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, it's a really nice surface out there. The EHS track, we still have to do striping. That's gonna be weather dependent. If we get a break in the weather, that track surface will be striped and that project will be closed as well. The EHS Commons, we're just doing our final punch walks. We have to tighten up a couple of things with the audiovisual equipment, and once that is done, the EHS Commons project will be closed out, and then we're finishing up fixing 2 of our secure entries, and then those will all be done as well. And our hope is to, by the end of the year, to have EHS Commons, secure entries, and phase 1 of Lincoln complete, so then we can bring to the board the exact amount of money left with the bond issue, so then we can begin talking about Hamel, the next steps with Hamel. So that is kind of the plan for those projects. Also want to mention the EHS parking lot. That was a concern earlier this year that was brought by some parents about the parking lot. That was finally taken care of, so that's been striped and numbered, and that parking lot is ready to go for our students. That is something that will be done much earlier next school year.
Okay.
Well, I want to, if I can, real quick on the parking lots. It's my understanding that Josh Ferry and his team were the ones that did the parking lots.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think he's here tonight. I think he was here last time. But I as a board member and as a parent of a student that is driving her car onto these lots, and then we'll have another one pretty soon that'll be driving. I just want to give a big shout out to Josh Ferry and his team for having done this. I know that they have been heavily inundated with a lot of projects, and I think we need to give due diligence to where the heavy lift that they've made to pivot and put some time and effort into doing this themselves and putting the stripes and the numbers down. I think not only for the safety and kids that are coming on the lots first, the start of the school year, parents are paying a lot of money into these fees, as well as just the overall look for how our schools look. So it's a good look for them. I have driven it and seen it, and I think I just wanted to take this moment to definitely thank Josh and his team for having done that. So thank you. So hopefully they'll see this or they'll hear it.
I'll let him know, because his guys
Thank
worked
you.
on the weekends as well, Sarah, so I really appreciate you bringing
Appreciate
that
it.
up. Yeah.
Definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else?
Probably at the next meeting, before the end of the year, calendar year, we'll bring some projects that we need to look at completing during the summer. The ones I can think of that are important needs are 3 schools need some significant tuck pointing work. They are Claire, Nelson, and Woodland. And we are also looking at some parking lots. In particular, the teacher lot at the high school is one of them. So we're trying to formulate all that information so that we can bring that to you as well.
Do we have a priority list?
Yes.
Okay.
You may not have a
I
priority
mean,
list. There is a priority list,
does
and we're trying to, let's just say, Matt, that is in the process of being developed and trying to circle back and see what that process
Gotcha.
looks like. So I know the 3 buildings, the brick part is crucial because we do have some issues in those schools. That's a health, life, safety project is what it'll end up being. And the parking lots, Josh and I are doing an analysis. I'm not saying that the teacher lot is the only one that needs to be done. It's one that is an issue, and it's also one that we've had some issues with because of some of the solar panel work that was done out there. So that's to say that GRP is working with us on some of that. So
Yeah, my main concern is we have projects that are going on. Obviously, they're starting to close, which is
Correct.
fantastic, and I understand the bond and stuff, but if each building has their own triage of priorities, that has to be done, and we get something like a track or softball field or something.
Correct.
And we have to spend extra money. Knowing what's in the future helps guide our
Sure.
decisions a whole lot
Sure.
better. So I would,
And
it would
and I
be nice
understand.
to have that.
Sure. I think that's something we are trying to circle back on right now and
Perfect.
get through.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
moving on. Under the heading of Programs and Personnel. This time I'd like to welcome Emily Brown, foreign language teacher, and Julia Dahl, senior science teacher from EHS, who will present to the board about student trips out of the country. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, Dr. Duggan, can I have the control?
He doesn't hand that over lightly.
So those of you that know me, I can't do boring, so let's liven this party up a little bit.
All right.
All right, so my name is Julia Dahl. I teach AP Biology, and I'm an instructional coach at the high school. My partner in crime, if you will, working through new policies and how we want to do some things. So Emily Brown and I will be talking about a couple of different trips. Mine will be to the Galapagos Islands and Ecuador, of course. And so we'll talk through what we're doing. Amy Burian isn't here tonight. She has twin girls, so she's kind of busy. She will be my co-leader to the Galapagos and to Ecuador. So we're going to talk through what we're going to see, what we're going to do, and the value of what the students are going to get, obviously, who's going, and then obviously what is all included. And then let's talk about EF tours as well, because Emily will be using the same company. Just to give you a quick overview, we're going to be in the Pacific Ocean. And we're going to be in the Galapagos Islands. Ecuador actually owns the Galapagos Islands, so when you look at who controls that, so we do have to go into Ecuador, but there's going to be some beautiful things in Ecuador as well. So we'll talk through what we're going to do. This is day by day, kind of, just the big items that we will be doing. We get to stand on the equator.
That's awesome.
Here's the north, here's the south. And then travel through a couple different things. And then, of course, the different islands. There will be 2 snorkeling opportunities for everyone going. And we have different islands that we're going to be going on. This is a very active trip. We will be hiking, we'll be observing things, we'll be snorkeling, we'll be all over the place. So when we're looking at all of those things. There's lava tunnels that we get to go through, the different tortoises, as I've had to explain to people, it's not turtles, it's tortoises. In case you didn't know, here's a biology note. A few years ago, they actually discovered a tortoise on one of the islands that they thought was extinct. So we will be looking at the research center for the tortoises, so hopefully we'll learn more information about that. The flamingo habitat is huge. It's a big deal for conservation when we go through that. Like I said, a couple of different snorkeling opportunities when we kind of take a look at some things. Again, we'll be hiking. We will be observing things on the beach, so not just terrestrial, but land animals, but also marine. An actual cloud rainforest. We will be in the clouds and going through rainforest, waterfalls, things like that. And then we'll be traveling home. So you're looking at 11 days that we will be gone. Just to let you know, there is a time frame. So right now it's anywhere between the 12th of June and the 28th, but that will be finalized hopefully by December. They always kind of take a look at what is happening weather-wise and some other things. So our hope dates are the 15th of June through the 25th of June, so that's our sweet spot right there. But there is a little bit of leeway, and everyone has been advised of that when they signed up for the trip, so there's no question about that. Why? Well, gee, let's go experience on our own, right? Let's go see that. You're looking at a Spanish-speaking, but there's also English, obviously. So no, sorry, I'm not taking Emily with me on that. But yeah, so we'll kind of take a look at that. But when we get there, but other people will be. Some of our students are in the Spanish programs, so they will actually get that cultural awareness and the communication skills and all of that interesting things as we're in and about. The environmental awareness, like I said, if you're looking at the research and the conservation of all of this, that's actually included with that. The geological awareness, and now I'm going to geek out a little bit. When Darwin actually went to the Galapagos, he had studied the works of Hutton and Lyell, which are geologists as well. So when he stood and looked at those marine fossils and went, why are these fossils here when other things are not? So if you would like to learn more about Darwin, I would encourage you to step into my AP Biology classroom, second semester. Come on by and we'll talk more about Darwin and the theory of natural selection, not evolution as everybody wants to pin on him. Evolution was actually talked about way before him. He actually came up with the theory of natural selection that drives evolution. So almost every single student that goes through EHS has talked about Darwin. It's in all of the bio curriculum. It's in whichever level you take, both as a freshman or an upper level bio class. It's also in the environmental, it's in the geology, it's everything that we do that we eventually will talk about, this particular place. So I've already informed my students that when we touch down on the Galapagos, the dragon will cry. So she will be standing where Darwin stood. So, like I said, the flamingos itself, a lot of times you get to go to the zoo, but we will literally be within the refuge itself. So the flamingos that are there, the cloud forest, walking through the rainforest, that's just, yes. The different tortoises, like I said, are indigenous to their different islands. And so the students will literally see for themselves the things that Darwin looked at. They will be standing in the same places. So that's absolutely exciting. And then, of course, like I said, the underwater life. So we will have all of the snorkeling opportunities and take a look at those particular things. So let me tell you who's going. When you take a look at what we're doing, we have 4 teacher chaperones, myself, Mrs. Burian, Amy Burian, Melissa Barnett, and then Kirk Schleter. And then you have our admin, Caitlin Richard, who will be going with us, who is very excited that she gets to go now. We have 3 adult travelers going with us, Kirk's wife, and then the 2 daughters, adult daughters of Melissa Barnett. We have 29 students going with us. This is a very large group, so there's 37 of us, but that's actually a good thing because we get our own bus. So everything that we do is our own. We will not be taking public transportation except for the airline to go there. We get our own bus, we get our own everything because we're such a large group. There's pros and cons to not sharing a bus with other students from other places, but I like having all of us. What do we get? We get our, in the trip when they signed up with their paying, obviously they get the hotels and airfare, they get breakfast and dinner. They will have to pay for their lunches when we look at that. We have a 24/7 tour director. So this person is with us at all times. We also get our local guides, and I do say local. This is very, very good that we get local guides. They know exactly where to take us, right, and to go from there. Galapagos, you cannot get onto, well, actually you can fly into it, but if you don't have the right paperwork, they'll turn you right back around. EF takes care of all that. So the kids have to get their passports, everybody has to get their passports, EF takes care of everything else. So this is why we chose EF when you look at that. Like I said, tips, lunches, and when you're looking at baggage and, you know, things, if they want to purchase things and things like that, that's on them. And then of course, if you look at choosing EF, and I'm going to talk about my age here just a little bit. So they've been doing this for a while. I went when I graduated high school myself. I took EF. So they've been doing this for a while. They know what they're doing. When you look at what they do for training, so Emily and I will be out of country Martin Luther King weekend. That's because EF is taking us for free to Berlin. We'll be out of country. They take us through their training. They take us through how they do their system. This is how we do things. This is our safety procedure. Here's our security. This is how we handle things. So we know exactly what to do as tour leaders. So this is what they're going to do with us. So have a good Martin Luther King weekend. We'll be in Berlin. Other areas have also used EF. The surrounding high schools and things like that. So you see a lot of people use EF. It's an amazing company when you take a look at what they're doing. Like I said, we have a 24/7 tour director. We have their response team. So if we have a student who gets sick or injured or something, first of all, one of the chaperones stay behind with them, but they also have their own person. We have a translator at our disposal. We have that person as well that will help us through anything that we need. The Peace of Mind program. So I told you those tour dates that are a little bit flexible. Again, weather, things like that. If for some reason something completely goes to where we cannot go, EF will give us a backup tour. If for some reason that backup tour is more expensive or something else, we don't pay more. It's already taken care of. Their backup plan is, we do their backup plan and they'll give it to us for free from doing that. So they have a great peace of mind program as well. So they want to take care of everybody. And of course, when you're looking at what they have to fill out, so everyone going will fill out EFs, health, medical, things like that. We will also be filling out the board policies as well. Once those dates are actually put into place, that's when all that paperwork will be filled out and taken care of. And then, of course, everybody is vetted. So anyone working with children, they take care of that. They make sure everyone has background checks along that. And they have personally gone to these hotels and things like that. Our liaison that I work with has personally taken this tour. In fact, I have a meeting with her December 2nd, a Zoom meeting, and we will talk through just even more things, and she can tell me exactly what's going to be happening. So our liaisons with the company have been on these tours. They have personally been with, everywhere that we're going to go and kind of take care of that. So that's the Galapagos in Ecuador. Any questions about what we're going to be doing?
Sounds like fun.
I can't wait. It is a bucket list like no other.
Well, my trip is gonna be very boring compared to hers.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
I'll wait, because I probably have the same questions for you.
Yep.
Oh, well, if you wanna ask them now, I'm the
Yeah,
type of
go
person
ahead.
where if I don't hear them, I'm gonna forget.
Gotcha. So who's eligible to go? So back in my day, if you didn't go to Spaghetti Factory and you were part of the French-speaking club, you went there, and if you're part of Spanish, you went there. Who's eligible to go on this trip?
We opened it up to everyone.
Okay.
We did not want to say, no, you can't go. We opened it up to the incoming freshman class, so we're taking them so as well. We opened that up, we sent that to the middle schools
Okay.
to say, hey, we're taking this trip. And so when people were interested, I had a parent meeting. If they were interested at any given point in time, we had our meetings and we answered the questions.
So any age range from 14 to 18?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, what are the costs associated with it? So what's the district looking to pay for this? Are we paying for all 26 students and all adults, or is the district paying for just the employees of District 7? Are we paying for the spouses? I mean, where's the cost come in for the district?
I wish. You don't pay anything.
The district doesn't pay anything for
No.
this trip? Okay.
This is during June, so you don't even have to pay for a sub for me. Oh, I take that back. The first day of finals.
Okay.
The one day of finals, you have to pay a sub because I will be in Berlin getting trained. Other than that, the students and their parents have paid for all of this.
Okay, so all the I have right here, the admins, the 3 adults, the spouses, the 4 teachers, all their portion of it.
So every 6 people going, you get a free chaperone.
Oh,
So,
neat.
yes, so every 6 person, you get a free chaperone. So all of our chaperones are free.
Okay. All right. And then safety-wise goes, I presented this to Dr. Duncan about the travel risks that are out there. Is there a waiver that they, I assume, sign?
So
You know,
there's a board policy that they sign.
Okay, good. All right. And then the communication of the U.S. government travel website that's out there so parents can be at ease.
I've
that
already
this is a
informed
safe-
my parents. We've already
Awesome.
had that conversation. We've talked about curfews, the fact that there will be curfews. All of the student rooms will be located in the same area as all of the chaperones. So we don't go anywhere without our travel person from EF, and they don't go anywhere without their chaperone.
Gotcha. So it's just a chance for those who may not go on vacation to actually see somewhere.
Yes.
Are there vaccination requirements that kids have to get to?
Actually, when you look at because the biologist in me, that was one of my first things that I looked into. They really don't require anything. They use the US dollar, so we don't have to worry about taking care of money if we don't need to, things like that. They accept credit cards. The kids will have well, they'll have to look at their plan for their cell phones, things like that. So they will have to purchase that through their own if they want to do it. A lot of times you can get like $10 a day, so much data, things like that. All of the hotels have Wi-Fi. Once we're on the Galapagos Islands, it may depend on which island we're at. So there may be a day or so that Wi-Fi is a little spotty, but Wi-Fi is a little spotty in the high school too. So when you get through that. So we have access at any given point in time.
Great work. Thank you.
These have been vetted through our insurance company too, because they're district sponsored, so the insurance company's already signed off on these.
Before we had
these two
anyone
trips.
sign up for that, we were in communication with Dave to make sure that all of that was taken care of so that we could actually go forward before we let anyone know of an open enrollment.
Nice.
And to speak to my trip about Spain, or to speak about my trip to Spain, I opened it to any EHS students and their families. So on my trip, there is a 31-year-old cousin of a student who's going, and she will be background checked by EF Tours as well. The district's not paying for that background check. The tour company does. Okay, so segueing into my trip to Spain, we're going to be spending 11 days in Spain. My group is a little smaller than Julia's, but it was because we accidentally, well, I wouldn't say we planned the trips at the same time, but that's just where the chips fell. Originally, Melissa Beck was sponsoring this trip, and so she wanted to change guards, so I took over that trip for her, and now I'm so excited to go back. I studied abroad in Spain, and so I lived there for 6 months, and so I've been to all these places. So it'll be kind of like going home for me. I'm really excited about it. So we'll be flying into Malaga, which is in the southern coast, and then spending 2 days in Granada, 2 days in Sevilla. We're stopping in Cordoba on the way to Madrid, spending 3 nights there, and then 2 nights in Barcelona, and then we're flying home from Barcelona. And this is all in and out of St. Louis. So really excited about that. Just some highlights and some really important places that we're going to see. The Alhambra, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Obviously, you know, the kids are going to be using their Spanish, but there are some kids that are not currently in my Spanish class that are able to go, and maybe I can help them dust off their Spanish skills, because I haven't seen them in the classroom in a few years. So the Alhambra is in Granada, which is in the south of Spain. Sevilla, which is Seville, is on our way to, like, essentially we're flying in and out, but then when we're in Spain, we're taking a bus, and then from Madrid, we're taking a high-speed train, which I'm really excited about because I haven't been on one of those since I was in Japan. So that'll be nice. So kids will get to use those ground travel options, but it's EF Tour coach buses, so it's not public transportation. And Julia's group is big enough to fit a whole bus. We are not, but I'm excited to meet some kids and some group leaders. I think Erin said they were from Iowa. Well, you wouldn't know because you're not going on the trip. But part of one of the fun things about these tours is you get to meet kids from other schools, and some students that I've taken on tours before, they make lasting friendships that way. So that's another fun thing that we'll be doing, is just meeting other people.
Pros and cons.
Right. So the Plaza de España is a really famous site that we're going to be seeing when we're in Sevilla. Cordoba is really cool. It's got really ancient architectural and historical references that will be really cool. So the kids aren't just learning Spanish, but they're learning about European history while they're there. So that's going to be a really good stop as well. When we're in Madrid, like Julia said, we're going to have our 24/7 tour consultant, but we're also going to have local guides in every city that we're in that specialize in those towns. They know those shortcuts, they know those neighborhoods, they know those restaurants very well, and so that's a really good advantage of traveling with EF as well. Excuse me. Barcelona, we're going to be spending 2 days there, so that'll be really nice. Originally, we were supposed to go on a tour that led us to the western coast of Spain, but that was getting a little too pricey and time-consuming, so I decided an 11-day tour was just right for us. So who's going? Myself, Gabrielle Tienemann, who's another Spanish teacher at the high school. The administrator who's accompanying us is Rebecca Kern. And there are 10 female students, 5 male students, and the adult female traveler, the cousin that I mentioned earlier. And so she will be background checked by EF Tours. So again, our tour is also 11 days. We could leave as early as the 4th, and we could return as late as the 20th. So they're going to get those official tour dates to us about 2 or 3 months prior to takeoff. And I have yet to have my final enrollment meeting with my parents, but when I meet with them, it'll be sometime in December, and that's when they're going to get those those district board forms and policies and all that stuff. And I'm gonna make sure everyone has applied for their passports, because I forgot mine was expired until the other day. So the value of travel, these are all very similar things to what Julia touched on already. My favorite thing is the Spanish communication skill, right? Because I teach Spanish, that's my bread and butter, and that's what I really want kids to take home at the end of the day. But there's really no price tag on being able to use that language in those countries. And it's really the keystone of any travel is to be able to communicate with others. And, you know, those history lessons that I talked about, time management skills, getting on the tour bus, not missing the tour bus, and also, you know, sharing those rooms and those spaces with others. So the same things are included that Julia already mentioned, you know, all the museum tickets, the bus tickets, the sightseeing tours, breakfast and dinner. Sometimes it's lunch that's included and dinner might be on their own, but there's at least one meal a day where students are encouraged to go try something new and pay for that themselves. But it could just be a snack if they don't have a big budget, So same thing, they're responsible for their up-to-date passport. If they have extra bags, they're paying for those baggage fees. If they want to upgrade their hotel rooms, let's say hypothetically, if my student wanted to room with her cousin and they wanted to get a 2-room instead of a 4-room, they would be responsible for paying that room upgrades fee. Snacks, meals, like we talked about, souvenirs, tips for the bus guides, all the same things that we already talked about. Julia talked about EF. I have taken 2 trips with EF myself already, and so I've had nothing but wonderful experiences. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a returning customer, right? So they've been fabulous. And Erin Scheibel, who is she our tour consultant?
I just call her our liaison.
She's our liaison. She's based out of Highland, so she knows the area really well. She knows the communities really well. And she used to be a Spanish teacher too, so we chat about that sometimes. All the things that Julia already talked about, and of course when I have my parent meeting in December, we'll mention the state advisory guides for travel, and I'll give them that resource where they can check that website. It's the State Department, correct?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. You know, same story, just a different location. Do you guys have any questions for me or for us?
Cost of the district is still 0?
So if I get 2 more students, then Rebecca Kern's spot will be paid for.
Okay.
But right now, my ratio is a little short on that, so Rebecca's spot will have to be paid for, but I don't remember how much it is. Do you want me to send those numbers to you?
Well, no, I think with that presentation, that looks awful appetizing for 2 more people to go to. So
I'm hoping so, and I'm hoping that when I get another meeting in December, I can extend that invitation as well to more families.
What's the flight time there by chance?
From St. Louis to Madrid,
Yeah.
it's usually like 8.5 hours, but then that's to Madrid. So Malaga, I'm not sure if we're gonna have another connecting flight because that's a smaller airport. And then when we're on the bus, it's usually not more than 3 or 4 hours, and we do stop for rest breaks and, you know, just like any road trip when you're taking a coach bus, but it's about 8 hours when you're on the big plane.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Lots of movies to be downloaded, for sure.
Yes.
And just like Julia mentioned, the hotels have Wi-Fi. A lot of the restaurants have Wi-Fi. It's not as remote as the Galapagos, so kids will definitely be able to keep in touch with your families while they're there. I still send postcards. I'm one of those people.
Me too.
Well, I want to tell you thank you for coming to present. I know when we ask somebody to come present to the board, it can be a little overwhelming, but I think that you two telling the board and the community about this trip sounds a lot better than me. So just thank you again for that. I also want to say thank you for being willing to give our kids these opportunities. As somebody who's traveled abroad, it is a life-changing experience. And although, you know, free trip, you're still giving up your days in the summer away from your families. So just thank you for doing that for our kids.
And taking teenagers.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great time. I'm excited.
And any opportunity to hit the bucket list.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
I know your trip makes mine sound so boring.
Yours isn't boring.
It's
It's
not
different.
boring at all. It's
They're both
just,
amazing.
it's just.
So are both trips open to other people, or yours is closed and yours is still open?
Mine is
It's
closed.
Yours is still open?
Mine is still open, so if you know anyone who wants to go.
Just thinking, you know,
Yeah, that'd
people
be
watching.
awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And when was the last time a district tour has been to Galapagos?
We've never gone. No one's ever gone to the Galapagos. This is the very first time. So,
Make it a good
First one, best one.
yes, so I would like to start some traditions as to going and literally, like I said, every student who goes through EHS, we will talk about these things, and then to actually be on, you can see how emotional I'm getting because I'm so excited to go. And so, yeah.
Well, as a parent, your presentation was spot on. You answered every question I would have had as a parent, so good job about all the work that you guys did putting that together.
So did the kids do some fundraisers to help fund, or their parents paid 100%?
This is why we are together, because we decided we did not want to compete against each other. So she came up with a lovely term called traveling tigers. And so we have had some candy sales. The 17th through the 21st, we will be selling slushies at the Commons. You're welcome, Doll's Orchard apple cider. So we will be selling slushies. We have car washes. We're looking at car wash. And then the variety show, and I'd like to invite you, February 4th. Come see the staff variety show.
Will you make sure that somebody gets that and it gets sent out to us?
The staff variety show, we like to raise money for a lot of different things. In the past, we've raised it for Tigers Giving Forward. Tigers Giving Forward gives that money to our staff and students who are suffering from long-term things. Tigers Giving Forward has, to date, given out $26,000. If you, some of the new board members, you may not know that. But we've given out money to staff and students to help, and so we are doing the staff variety show to kind of spread the wealth, not only just for that, but then also for the students who are going on these trips to kind of lighten the load a little bit and take care
And
of
the
them.
fundraisers that the kids are participating in, they're entirely optional. They're not forced to fundraise if they don't want to. And we're going to distribute the funds equitably. So if Jimmy sells 1 chocolate bar, he's going to get as much of the proceeds as if Timmy sells 30 chocolate bars. So we're going to make it equitable across the board.
Awesome.
If they can all pay us for the chocolate they owe us.
Those are yours, not mine.
Oh. All right, no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
But I hunted mine down.
Thank
Do you want your power back?
Sure.
Thank you all.
Awesome,
Fun.
thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck. Safe travels.
Yes.
Okay. This time, Dr. Duncan will update the board on the possible 26-27 school calendar.
Yeah, this is not as exciting as those 2 trips, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So look, we actually have 2 calendars I'm going to show you today. This first slide here is, these are hard static dates. So Teachers Institute will be August 17th and 18th. The first day of student attendance will be August 19th, which is a half day. Our holiday break is December 21st through the 1st of January. Our Teacher Institute day to start second semester will be January 4th. That is a non-student attendance day. Spring break will be the 24th of March through the 29th. This will be the Wednesday through the Monday after Easter. That is the same way this year, but then the following year we're hoping to get back to the traditional full week of spring break. The last day of student attendance will be May 25th, and if we use any of the emergency days, it could go through June 2nd, and then graduation will be June 6th. So the 2 potential calendars will all depend on the governor, if he's going to mandate us to go to school on election day next year. So up top, this first one shows election day. That would be if students do attend. The dates that fluctuate will be parent-teacher conferences. If we do have school on election day, parent-teacher conferences will be October 29th. That would be the 1 p.m. to 7:30 time slot, and then October 30th, that would be the 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. time slot, very similar to this year. And then the last day of student attendance will be May 25th. If we do not have school on that day, then parent-teacher conferences will kind of flip a little bit. We'll push them back October 30th, and then that day will be the 8:30 to 3:30 slot. November 2nd will be the 1 p.m. to 7:30 slot, and then the last day will be pushed back one day, May 26th, which will still get us out before Memorial Day. So as soon as we get guidance, that will be the determining factor for the calendar. Any questions?
So it's not up for us to decide, it's totally up to the governor, or the state, or whatever. Okay, gotcha.
Do you know, is there a projection about when you're supposed to find out?
I don't think we didn't really
I
get
don't know
a...
what projection, Lynn, everything we've been told is that it's probably more than likely he will.
So just kind of want to be prepared for both.
Yeah.
And for this process, so just so the board knows, like we work with the union, there's a calendar committee that we meet with, we go over the calendar, we talk about days, make sure that it makes sense from the teacher lens. For example, one thing that they were excited about is the days are equally across the board for each semester and each quarter. Sometimes the quarters will be heavy first semester or heavy second semester. This one aligns pretty nicely, so.
Because the break at the end of the first semester is mid-January, and maybe, I don't know if you said that, or was that on the first slide?
It'll stay the same
Yeah.
as it is this year, Joe. I mean,
Middle
it'll
of-
happen in the
Middle of January.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's because kind of driven by the summer schedule.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And when are finals? In the spring?
For next year?
Yeah.
So they will take finals after Christmas break again next year, and then ideally we'll get all that back on schedule the following year.
Okay. They were static about when the kids were taking finals after they came back from break.
Which is like 10 days after they come back, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 or 9 days.
They have more
something.
time to cram.
And it
But
balances
are
that
they though?
semester
Are they
out.
really gonna cram
No.
when they're on vacation? No.
Some may, some, but most probably won't.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ready to move on?
I think so.
Okay, there we go. Action consideration item 6.1, approval of action item 6.1, Dr. Duncan.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the Edwardsville High School Spanish teacher Emily Brown to take students on the extracurricular field trip to Spain from the projected date range of June 5th, 2026 through June 25th, 2026. And Edwardsville High School science teachers Julia Dahl and Amy Buren to take students on the extracurricular field trip to the Galapagos Islands from the projected date range of June 12th, 2026 to June 28th, 2026. May I have a motion?
That's my
Oh, you say that.
Second.
No.
You don't need to say it, Bob, we did.
It's just like we're on automatic now, right? This is that whole, I
He
don't
just
even
wants all
have
the
to be
credit.
here, really. Can I phone it in? Okay.
Dr. Duncan wants all the credit. He likes this
Any
one.
discussion other than me complaining? Okay. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations. Have a great trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come back with a lot of pictures so we can see.
Approval of action item 6.2, Dr. Duncan.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the softball project. I want to provide the board with a little update from the last time that we met and discussed this. So this is the breakdown that we discussed before. There are only 2 changes that I would like to bring to everybody's attention. The first change is bullet point 4, extend the turf between the batting cage and the first base fence line. Our initial proposal was there was going to be a concrete slab there. We went and we met with Oates Associates and also Burn Jones, and they said that they could extend the turf without having to do the concrete slab, and so that reduced the price, the overall price of the project. And then there are 2 prices here. So there is price 1, which is fencing, and this is going to replace, if we replace all the softball fence and we do it in black, that cost would be $79,000. And then we also have another price in there for green, which is $81,000. That does not impact the size of the fence, it's just about the color. And so things for the consideration for the board. First thing, if we decide not to replace the fence today, the full fence, what we asked was what would this cost in today's dollars, so we could have a financial understanding of what it would look like. In today's dollars, labor would cost $25,000. Material costs, they didn't give us a quote just because they know that we have to make sure we consider inflation. That labor cost will go up as well. If we decide to go with a green fence, to our surprise, green is a little more expensive than black, and it's harder to get, and it also sometimes doesn't always match. That's kind of the green fence option. If we do not replace the fence as well, if we wait till later, we can pretty much guarantee that the turf will be compromised in some capacity due to the procedure that it takes to replace the fence after the turf has already been installed. On the other side of this, there is a conversation that needs to be had, is if we decide to go with a green fence and not do black, the black fence is cheaper. It is easier to get, but the one thing that the black fence does is it does lock us in to being forced to, not forced, but it locks us in terms of the direction we have to go with the remainder of the fences. because what that would mean is it would kind of force our hand a little bit to have to be in replacing all the fences and make them black from the aesthetic component. So our recommendation as a team would be that, and we would have to amend this, but we would prefer or recommend that we replace the fences and use the green fence, because what will happen is what this will allow for us to do, let's say something happens down the road where financially we can't afford to replace the fences, we don't have to we won't be forced. We will still have green fences, we can financially make it work. But if we were to go with the black, it would force our hand. And so trying to project out and protect the district and not overextend us, it's our recommendation that we make an amendment to the action item to do the green fence and not the black fence.
How does changing the fence black there at the softball field cause us to have to replace all the fences in the complex?
So what would happen is so as we have to replace the fences, if we go black with the softball field, the rest of our other fences will be green. So aesthetically, it could be an eyesore having one black fence and the rest green. If we stay green with the softball fence, that allows us to extend the life of these other fences that are already green. So it wouldn't be where we need to replace them, a whole full replacement. We can maybe stretch them out and reuse them and figure out ways to make them last longer without having to say, okay, well, we need to replace the football fence as green because the softball fence is black. It's more of an aesthetic than it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the only question I have about that is, and it's always, maybe I'm completely out to lunch here, but I've always kind of gotten the impression that the black generally has better sort of weathering capabilities from a sun. So in theory, going black, which is less expensive, could potentially last longer.
Is that accurate, Mr. Tom?
It does not fade or change colors as much, so aesthetically, black would look better.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my only concern, is that I don't mind it looking different, and over time, I think the black looks better anyway.
$2,500 extra to get a fence that's harder to get, the colors may not match, and the colors won't last as long. Versus.
But it matches all the rest, right?
Right. And that's a commitment that the board's going to have to, if that's what's going to have to be decided, that you're comfortable with potentially having a black softball fence and remainder of green fences throughout the complex. Or you're okay with saying, we'll take the black fence, and then when we begin to replace them, we'll replace them all with black. It's more of an aesthetic, what you're comfortable with committing to.
So I walked the whole fence line, and you're talking about when you go into the complex, it starts green, and it's all the way down, all the fields, coming over to the football field. So if you're talking about replacing the fence, which I agree, this is the opportunity to get it where you're not going to tear up the field at a later date, which could accrue another cost. I liken it to going and buying a pair of shoes. And just because the other ones are a BOGO doesn't mean you have to. You're going to save money by just spending a little more here without forcing your hand on something else, just for sun fading. Like I said, I walked out there and looked, and yeah, you can see the difference between the back side of the fence and the front. There's some fading, but functionality-wise, the fences are in decent shape.
For the,
I
you're
am
proposing
for
for the green
staying
fence?
green. I'm for staying green. I don't want to be forced into, aesthetically walking out there and seeing one oddball field with black fencing, and then people going, oh man, wow, that one looks great, but this looks like crap. And then it forces us to do stuff maybe at an accelerated rate rather than replacing what actually needs to be replaced. It's true money savings is replace what needs to be replaced. Yeah, there's a little bit cost, with the green. But when you put it in an overall package for everything you would be replacing instead of just those areas, are you really saving?
Right.
Well, and I hear what you're saying. I think if we were talking about a field that was right up next to the street, where you could, it was really obvious, I mean, I think that definitely means, you know, kind of like, you know, you're kind of committing yourself to a change. But I mean, we're talking about a field that's all the way in the back.
What was the cost savings from omitting the concrete and going with the turf?
3,000.
About three,
Yeah.
just shy of three.
It was 8,000 for the concrete.
Yeah, 8,658, yeah.
This bottom line says new black fencing at the softball field. That's what the recommendation is? Or is
That
it,
was
I mean,
the-
that's a 6 foot, so is that gonna be black and the rest green?
No. So
Okay,
the whole,
so
it's,
there was-
it's gonna be uniform throughout.
Okay.
The bottom in here is, that is what it's gonna be. It's gonna cost us for, that's the green fence, I'm sorry, it's a
Okay.
typo. And then the top one is
Gotcha.
black, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you've got black before the
Yeah.
parentheses, and you have green before, but it's on different lines.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about the remediation? What is the word?
The soil stabilization.
Yes, thank
That was
you.
applied with all the rain we got over the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
That was a
So
recommendation.
that
And so they,
58,000 or whatever
Yeah,
was
that's-
needed to be
Okay.
used.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So that could have been a lot worse. So that's good.
yeah.
I hate to paint you in a corner here, man, but the question I ask is, what's next? You know, and with the track, we kind of went through there. Given we're so far along with this softball field, are there any other things like a drainage thing or anything that would pop up that we might have to decide on? Do you have any indication of any other expenses that would occur of this project? I don't want to make you say, no, we're done with this, because that's already been promised by, not you, but,
Right.
you know,
What I can tell you, and we have Tom here from Oates, and Dave can talk a little bit more, is that in terms of the planning and the necessities, the things that this field has to have to be functional, I think we've covered our bases. Now, there may be something that pops up, you know, but it's not going to be where it's an oversight on our end. It's going to be, it's like an emergency type of expense. Yeah. I think we went through this and really walked and spent a lot of time, been very thoughtful about how we have approached this and what we brought to the table. So I feel comfortable telling you, I'm not gonna, no, I'm telling you, I feel pretty comfortable saying, hey, you know, there's not something that we're gonna come back and say, oops, we just didn't think about that.
okay,
So,
yeah.
The one thing I know that has definitely changed from the beginning to now is adding the berm in the outfield. Is there any, and maybe it's already been incorporated in the cost, because I know there was a cost savings of not having to remove that dirt and just moving it back there, but to finish that part of it, whether we were gonna, you know, to sod it or to put bushes or anything to make that berm complete, rather than just, more than just moving the dirt there. Do you know what I'm asking?
no, you saying is there,
Could there be potential expenses that we've not?
Exceeding.
oh, for the,
Landscaping.
Yeah.
I think I asked that before, and our staff were gonna handle that. Is that?
that should be done internally,
remember?
yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was internal.
Okay.
Because while we were touring it, I asked that.
Okay. So then I guess the question before us then is black or green? So how do we want to phrase this motion?
Or are we getting close to replacing the existing green fences? Is there any need for that at this point? Or are they in good condition?
So a lot of those fences out there are original, been out there for a while, so we're gonna have to, yeah, I mean, there's gonna be,
Yeah, the
So
other
that's
thing
gonna
is,
come up.
the other thing is we have replaced just like parts of fences before. I mean, it doesn't look, but if the gate needs to be replaced, so if you have a gate out there that's green, if you're gonna move to black, well then, basically then at that point, you're forced to replace the whole thing. I mean, unless you just wanna have a black gate.
From what I've seen, on top of all the fences, there's a corrugated tubing
Right.
that protects, you know, people from, you know, impalement and stuff like that. Those could be replaced, but, you know, in comparison to the price of the fencing, it's minimal. But from what I've seen, I'm no engineer or anything like that, the fences looked in good condition. There are just areas that can be maintained to tighten them up. But I didn't see any holes or gaps or, any stretching of any of the links. Now, you might know better than me, but when I walked them, I didn't see anything that would, compromise the integrity of them.
And replacing this won't have any effect on the other fences. This isn't like, this seems like the project that will never end. But, we're not tearing down and replacing this fence and oops, now we have to do the adjacent fence and oops, now we have to do the adjacent fence. And this is softball only, and that's as far as our impact is gonna go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we say that the black fence is easier to procure than the green fence, like how?
Couple weeks.
A couple
I think
weeks.
the green fence is a
Yeah.
couple weeks longer than the black. A week or two.
And cost-wise, it's the same, though, it just takes longer.
Yeah. It's
The green is a
a
little
couple
bit-
thousand more, it takes a couple weeks longer.
25 more.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if over time we have to replace
Right.
the rest, so
It's a little bit.
a little bit more. Okay.
So option 2 included the new EPAW logo, but someone is picking that up.
Yes, that we paid out our marketing sponsor.
We have a
thank you.
marketing
Okay.
sponsorship
So that's
account,
reduced from the
yes.
81,000 of option 2 that was presented?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just looking for direction from the board if we want to vote to approve a green fence, the price for what it would cost for green.
Well, your
or
recommendation is green,
My recommendation is green.
and, I mean, I'm hearing positive signals towards the green. I mean, I would probably lean more towards what your recommendation is, rather than what we want. I mean, I personally feel like black makes more sense, but I understand, I'm not into, like, feeling like that means we have to move everything, but I understand everything
Yeah,
would be uniform.
and I think, I mean, from the standpoint of the aesthetic, black looks nice.
It looks nicer.
But I also think from the district's financial health standpoint, what if we get to a place in 3 or 4 years where we can't afford to replace fences and now we have to look at a black fence and a green fence and different colored fences, and at this point,
So if
it
they
just doesn't.
patch pieces and replace pieces, it would look, yeah, I gotcha, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay, so,
So we would
go ahead.
So the recommendation would be for the Board of Education approve change orders to the Edwardsville High School softball project in the amount of $1,019 and $400, of which $12,500 will be paid out of the marketing sponsorship fund. So what that is, what I did, so I had to change numbers, Lynn, for you. So this is the additional $2,500 that would go to the green, so that we would have to amend that recommendation. If that makes sense to everybody.
So you're saying green?
Green, yes, ma'am.
So then, okay, so let's read the whole motion then.
Okay, my screen just died. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the change orders to the Edwardsville High School softball project in the amount of $119,000, $119,400.
You gotta hold your pinky
Oh,
out.
my goodness. Of which $12,500 will be paid out of marketing sponsorship funds.
So moved.
Wait, Bob,
Oh,
Well, we'll just make sure that we say with the green fence.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
With the green
it's
fence.
the green fence. That would be the amendment to what you have written here, right?
There we go.
Okay,
so moved.
okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
That it includes EPAW logo to be paid out, custom bleacher retrofit, concrete pad around existing ramp and drain grate, extended turf between batting cages, and a green fence.
Green fence.
and that's the whole
Green fence to match all the other fences,
Okay.
green fence.
Okay.
Okay. Carrie, please call the roll.
Bertles,
Yes.
Ahart,
Yes.
Sanderson,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Carver,
Yes.
Pete.
Yes. Okay. Approval of action, okay, sorry, that motion carried. Okay, approval of action item 6.3, Dr. Duncan.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve personnel matters related to the resignations and retirements of employees as presented earlier.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Carrie, please call the roll.
Carver,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Bertles,
Yes.
Sanderson,
Yes.
Ahart,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Patey.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, approval of action item 6.4. Dr. Duncan.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve personnel matters related to the appointment, employment, compensation, or transfer of employees pending required certifications and professional educator license, completion of paperwork, and all background fingerprint checks completed and cleared as presented earlier.
May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Carrie, please call the roll.
Sanderson,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Bertles,
Yes.
Ahart,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Carver,
Yes.
Patey.
Yes. Okay, motion carries.
Students banking on it, but no.
Okay. 7.1 is the agenda topics, or the currently slated agenda topics for the next meeting, to include student recognition, course handbook discussion, policy updates, so more policies. We're going to be tons of policies over the next couple of months. Approval of the 2025 tax levy estimate, approval of enterprise zones, and approval of personnel recommendations. Okay. With no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.